Right now, noon calls for accountability are growing louder at Sun Prairie West High School. More follow from a recent school board meeting. Plus, Washington, D.C.'s mayor is set to meet with President Trump's attorney general. The latest on the president's crime crackdown. This is News 3 Now at noon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Josh Breiter. Breaking news as we come on the air this afternoon in a drive-by shooting investigation that happened 2 months ago. Madison police say the suspect wanted in that shooting is now in custody. 22-year-old Jamel Grant Amos was arrested by Atlanta police on August 7th. Madison police have been looking for him since June 11th when a man was shot multiple times on Milwaukee Street. 2 guns and several shell casings were found at the scene. The victim survived. Grant Amos is suspected of being the shooter in the vehicle that did the drive-by. The Sun Prairie School Board continues to face serious backlash from the community. More than 24 people packed the school board meeting last night, with many parents and residents calling out district leaders for lack of transparency. This latest backlash coming weeks after prosecutors charged former Dean of Students Robert Gilkey-Meissegeyer with 15 counts related to child sex crimes. Many parents and community members are outraged.
What transpired here with Rob was a breaking point for my sons. When they found out about Rob's arrest, decided they didn't even want to go to their high school graduation. They were disgusted. My wife and I begged them to go. We convinced them to go, and lo and behold, what happens? Who shows up at that graduation? Making a mockery of it.
The criminal complaint alleges Gilkey-Meissegeyer engaged in inappropriate relations with a student on campus and exchanged nude photos with female students in return for alcohol. The complaint also claims that some staff members knew about these allegations before charges were filed. Gilkey-Meissegeyer is scheduled to appear in court next month. The board also voted on Operation Excellence, that's known as OE. This is in review of how the superintendent handles communication with the district and board. The board voted not compliant for both of those reviews. Happening today, a Dane County judge is expected to rule on a lawsuit stemming from the deadly 2018 gas explosion in Sun Prairie. The blast killed firefighter Corey Barr and injured 2 others during a response to a gas leak. It also destroyed multiple homes and businesses, displacing dozens. The specific cause of the explosion was not officially determined, but the lawsuit claims the companies involved failed to locate the gas line. The U.S. Chemical Safety and Hazard Investigation Board says Didion Milling has failed to implement crucial safety recommendations. This comes after a 2017 explosion at Didion's Cambria corn mill that killed 5 workers. The CSB issued 9 recommendations to date. Officials say none have been fully carried out. They also say Didion is not adequately responding to requests for updates. So far, we have not heard from Didion on this issue. Right now, Richland Center authorities are asking for your help in finding a missing man. The Richland County Sheriff's Office says 43-year-old Joshua Clark was seen last Friday at his home on County Highway C between Hub City and Yuba. Clark is 5 feet 6 inches tall, weighs 155 pounds, and has red hair and brown eyes. Officials say Clark could be traveling on foot or by car. If you have any information, you're asked to call the Richland County Sheriff's Office. Parts of southeastern Wisconsin are now under a state of emergency after historic flash flooding swept through the Milwaukee area. Governor Evers announced the emergency declaration while touring some of the hardest hit neighborhoods. Emergency crews and Wisconsin Emergency Management continue to arrive in the city, assessing damage and providing rescue efforts as needed. Governor Evers told reporters he was impressed by the quick and courageous response of first responders.
It's extraordinary, but again, Wisconsinites do such a great job when it comes to situations like this, whether it's any of the emergency management people, the National Guard, the local police, the local firefighters. It's significant.
Officials with the Dane County Emergency Management have also headed to Milwaukee to provide assistance to the first responders on the ground. Well, the good news is not a lot of rain on the way now. Here's First 4 meteorologist Jacob Montesano with the latest forecast. We need to dry out of here.
Yeah, now until the end of the work week, there's not going to be a lot of rain, but we're still seeing some very, very light showers across the region right now, mainly across northern Dane County, it looks like. But again, this rain is very, very light, not really going to be impactful at all. But we have seen some more additional rainfall this morning. Some areas picking up about an inch of rainfall, but it looks like the majority of the region that did see the rain saw about a half inch to maybe a full inch, but further north and northwest, not as much rain fell during the morning today. Now, there is still a very small chance of some rain later in the day today, but it's only going to impact a few areas, and they'll be in the form of some isolated showers, and it looks like the best chance of rain will be for areas north of Madison, which is certainly good news because areas to the north have not seen as much flooding concerns, really none at all. It's mostly been in the southern portion of the state, but a few of these isolated showers and storms are expected to pop up again, mainly north of Madison. Could see some areas experience some of that brief rain, maybe some very brief heavy rain, but for the most part, we're not going to see much today, and then we're really going to clear out overnight and into Wednesday. Now, as far as temperatures, right now they're very comfortable out there, middle to lower 70s for the most part. Areas that haven't seen the rain this morning are actually in the upper 70s to lower 80s, and most of the area will see highs kind of in that upper 70 to lower 80s range. Again, not a lot of rain other than a few isolated showers and storms here and there for the rest of today, and then we're almost certainly going to be dry for tomorrow. So I'll continue talking more about that forecast, and we are going to see a warm up to end the week, so I'll have those details coming up a bit later.
All right, Jacob, we'll see you in a few. Thank you. President Trump's plans to take over control of Washington, D.C. streets kicks into gear today with the Department of Justice meeting with city leaders and the D.C. National Guard mobilizing. Tareen Small has the latest from the White House.
President Trump has placed Attorney General Pam Bondi in charge of the Washington, D.C. police force as part of his attempt to curb crime in the city. Bondi is meeting with D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser today as the Department of Justice takes control.
D.C. should be a place where everyone can come and feel safe. Behind me and to my side, we have some of the best career law enforcement and prosecutors in the country who are ready to take this on.
Bowser admits she's powerless to prevent the federal takeover, but some Democratic lawmakers say they will introduce a bill to give the mayor control over the D.C. National Guard like governors have in their states.
You have heard me and many Washingtonians before me advocate for full statehood for the District of Columbia.
Police data shows violent crime in D.C. has declined over the past year, while Trump says the nation's capital doesn't look good to other world leaders.
This is an emergency. This is a tragic emergency. And it's embarrassing for me to be up here. You know, I'm going to see Putin.
The president said he intends to use Friday's meeting with his Russian counterpart in Alaska to determine how serious Vladimir Putin is about a peace deal with Ukraine.
Probably in the first 2 minutes, I'll know exactly whether or not a deal can be made.
How will you know that?
Because that's what I do. I make deals.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is dubious. He shared a new intelligence report on X saying that Russia is redeploying troops and forces in ways that suggest preparations for new offensive operations. Torian Small, CBS News, the White House.
Zelensky also says that Putin just wants the meeting as a way of claiming a personal victory, but will then continue his acts of war as before. Well, coming up next on News 3 Now at noon, the Ultimate Fighting Championship finds a new home. Plus, tariffs on Chinese products are delayed once again. How the U.S. and China are working toward a long-term deal.
President Trump signed an executive order to again delay heavy reciprocal tariffs on Chinese products for at least 90 days. The two countries have been working toward a longer-term trade deal. For now, U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods will stay at 30%, while China says it will maintain a 10% levy on U.S. products. The news comes as a White House official confirms to CBS News that U.S. chip makers NVIDIA and AMD will pay the federal government 15% of revenue made from from sales of their AI chips in China. Paramount will soon be the exclusive home of all Ultimate Fighting Championship events in an agreement with TKO Holdings worth more than $7 billion. The 7-year deal gives Paramount the rights to distribute UFC events on Paramount Plus, with some set to simulcast on CBS starting next year. Paramount Global is also the parent company of CBS News. And some big moves in fast food. KFC has announced the return of its beloved potato wedges, along with its hot and spicy wings. Meanwhile, today, Mickey D's lovers can take a trip to McDonaldland. The chain is launching its adult Happy Meals with choice of a Quarter Pounder with cheese or 10-piece McNugget, fries, and a souvenir. For the kids, new Hello Kitty and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Happy Meals with mashup character figurines. That's your CBS News Money Watch report. For more, log on to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the CBS Broadcast Center, I'm Jesse Mitchell.
Here's the stock report of the noon hour. The Dow's up 445 points, NASDAQ up 262, and the S&P 500 up 62. Our call for action volunteers are in the building today, taking your consumer complaints and taking action on your behalf. You can call for action at 608-270-2833 or submit a claim anytime at channel3000.com/call for action. Pam Yankee has the farm numbers straight ahead, plus Jacob returns with the first warn forecast. Then later on Live at 4, I'll take you to a local business taking part in Black Restaurant Week in the 608. Welcome back. Let's check in now with Pam Yankee for the Midwest Farm Report. Hi, Pam.
Hi, Josh. Yeah, let's start talking about what's happening out there with our crops. Wisconsin farmers are going to get busy pretty quick with corn silage harvest. Some have already wrapped up some of the harvest. Let's take a look. Latest update from the Wisconsin Ag Statistical Service shows that across the state of Wisconsin, the winter wheat harvest is about wrapped up. I'm hearing very good yields as far as the overall quality of the crop, and not too much as far as test weights or any issues with dockage. We've also got about 56% of the oats that are harvested, 20% of our potatoes already in the bins as well. Now, our corn and soybeans, they are continuing to look all right. 81% of our corn called good to excellent. That's unchanged. 81% of our soybeans look good to excellent. That's also unchanged. Pasture condition deteriorated just a little bit. 71% good to excellent. That's down 4 percentage points. One thing you have to realize is although we may have been inundated with rain in south central Wisconsin, southeast Wisconsin, there's still some dry patches. The latest update from the Crop Progress Report showed areas like Waupaca County, for example, dry. That's sandier soil in that neck of the woods, so they could use a little rain. Same story up in far northwest Wisconsin along the Lake Superior border with Minnesota. Very dry there. Now, just moments ago, the World Ag Supply Demand Report estimates were released, and we are looking at a big corn crop, up 13% from last year. They're now estimating that yields will come in at about 189 bushel to the acre on average. That's 9.5 bushel more than the average last year, and that includes Wisconsin, which would now have a record high forecasted yield. Soybeans, not that situation. They are expected to have a big yield at 53.6 bushel to the acre, but our acres are down about 2% compared to a year ago. So those numbers fresh into the marketplace as I speak. And wheat production across the United States also down 2% compared to last year. So something that might be influencing our trade later this afternoon. Barrel cheese today was up 6 cents at 186. 40-pound block cheese closes 2 cents stronger at 188. While the AA butter, that dropped another 3.5 cents, Josh. We're down to $2.30.5 per pound. But interesting to watch these World Ag Supply Demand reports. They brought these numbers to the marketplace after using drone or aerial surveys of crops, and also about 14,000 farmers on the ground giving their opinion. We'll get better numbers when we get into September, when the harvest really does begin in many areas of the U.S.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head. Harvest right around the corner. World Dairy Expo will be here before we know it, too. I can't believe it. Time's just flying this year.
Oh, stop.
I know.
One obstacle in my calendar at a time. But yeah, you're right. It's all coming to a head pretty quick.
Just keeping you on your toes there, Farm Babe. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Well, you have just a few days left to donate to our back to school supply drive. We're working with the Boys and Girls Clubs of Dane County to stuff the bus to make sure as many kids as possible are ready for the school year. Drop off those school supplies at any Walgreens or Boys and Girls Club in Dane County. You can also donate through our Amazon wish list online. You can find those links in this story at channel3000.com. A reminder, Friday is the last day to donate. Well, the showers are finally moving out of here. Here's First 4 meteorologist Jacob Montesano. Hi, Jacob.
Yeah, Josh, just a few storms later today, but that will be just about it, and a lot of the area won't see any more rain for the rest of today, with sunny skies for your Wednesday and Thursday. Now, by the time we get to the end of the week, we are going to see those temperatures warm up, where upper 80s will be in the forecast. Now, looking at the current radar, again, just a few light showers across parts of the area, but this is just about it for right now. And although we could see a few of those storms later today, not everyone will see that rain. But those that do see the storms, mainly for areas north of Madison, there is a very small chance that some of those storms could be on the stronger side, with really strong winds being the only hazard. So again, we're not expecting a big severe weather day. Wouldn't surprise me if we don't see any severe weather today. But looking at the forecast, again, areas north of Madison, which thankfully are the areas that haven't really seen a lot of flooding from this past week. Those are going to be the areas that have the best chance to see those isolated showers and storms. And even areas north of Madison, it is still hit or miss up there. So not really going to see much for the rest of the day. And once we get towards the overnight hours, we're almost certainly going to see dry conditions with completely clear skies to start your Wednesday. Now, looking at the rain chances beyond today, again, very dry for the middle of the week, but those rain chances are going to increase throughout the weekend, and especially for early next week. Still a bit unclear as to just how much rain we will see, but it does look like from now until the end of this week, we're not going to see a lot of it. Now, as far as temperatures, they're going to be pretty consistent the next couple of days, upper 70s to lower 80s for the rest of today. We'll have similar temperatures for tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a very, very nice day. Plenty of sunshine, very comfortable temperatures. That's going to be a similar forecast for Thursday. But then for the end of the week, we are going to see those temperatures warming up a bit. Highs on Friday expected to be in the middle 80s, then upper 80s for your Saturday. And then that rain over the weekend does look to cool things down. And for next week, temperatures are going to remain very comfortable. And by the time we get to next week, these upper 70s will actually be the average. We're getting into the time of the year where the average high is going to continuously fall. And so it looks like those 70s are going to continue for the extended forecast, looking at the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. With all the warm air kind of staying off to the west, we're going to see near average temperatures. And like I just mentioned, near average temperatures for next week and beyond will be in the upper 70s. So a lot of very nice days are in the forecast. It's really going to start tomorrow, but even the rest of today, we do have a chance of some storms, but a lot of the area, again, not really going to see much for the rest of the day. We are seeing some light rain right now, and then almost certainly dry for Wednesday and Thursday, with some warmer temperatures for the weekend and a better chance of rain for early next week. But those dry and nice conditions are going to return for the middle and end of next week. So again, a lot of very nice days coming up.
Yeah, and a good opportunity to dry out as we
exactly.
need it. All right, Jacob, thank you. Up next, we'll see what Howard's working on in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
If the aroma of freshly made caramel corn makes your mouth water, today you're in for a real treat. Oh, darn. As our week-long salute to fair food continues, today we're featuring another Midway favorite, caramel corn. It's one of those things that's almost impossible to resist. And no matter how hard I try to walk past it, when the aroma of fresh popcorn tumbling with rich caramel fills the air, it always draws me in. And since fairs and carnivals don't come around as often as we'd like, let me share with you an easy version that you can easily make at home anytime you get the craving. We start off by boiling some brown sugar, butter, corn syrup, salt, and a bit of cream of tartar in a saucepan, and stir it constantly. After about 5 minutes, we remove it from the heat and add in some baking soda. We drizzle this over some popcorn and gently toss it until it's evenly coated. before baking it off. Be careful, it's going to be very hot. Once it's crispy, it's ready to serve. And with each bite, you get the rich, buttery taste of caramel combined with the nutty flavor of popcorn. So don't wait for the fair to come to town. Simply go online and get the recipe for our irresistible caramel corn. And with each handful, you'll be glad you did. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a sweeter way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
Here's Jacob with a final check of your first warn weather.
Thanks, Josh. As we take a look at the 10-day forecast, small chance of rain for the rest of today, but then we're not going to see much for the rest of the work week. Might see some rain by the time we get to Saturday, with a better chance for early next week, and that will also drop the temperatures after they do rise for the end of this week. And then we are going to see the nice conditions return for the middle and end of next week. So overall, as I mentioned a moment ago, a lot of very nice days in the forecast, maybe even starting for the rest of today. Again, most of the area shouldn't see much, if any, rainfall for the rest of the day. And then Wednesday and Thursday, like I said, plenty of sunshine, very comfortable temperatures. And what's also great is that there's not really a lot of wildfire smoke or lower air quality that we have to deal with. So this might be, a really good stretch of weather, even though we are going to see some rain over the weekend and early next week. But again, we're going to see a lot of lower 80s to upper 70s for highs.
All right, Jacob, thank you. Thanks for watching News 3 Now at noon. Coming up next is The Bold and the Beautiful. Our next newscast is coming up live at 4. And a reminder, you can always find us streaming 24/7 on Channel 3000+.